Hi guys, Dave Pinson, your Philippine Bible Ministry. Yesterday we buried my little nephew, 7-year-old little boy, um, and something upset me during that I want to share with you guys. Now, let me just say this: whoever believes that Jesus Christ is God and Lord and Savior, those people are saved. Even if they're in a organization that might be off on this, that, or the other thing. I don't think God is as technical as a lot of you believe. I think there's a lot of things that are not essential. I think a lot of the additional things that every church does that I know of, the additional things that have been added because of the traditions of man and over the years, whatever the reason, I don't think those things take away one's relationship with Christ unless the person lets it do that, because it's all about a relationship with Christ. But there are some things that I find offensive um, to the family of a 7-year-old child who has just died, perished. First of all, I would say this. I believe that in the innocence of children, they're not innocent like everybody has a badness to them. Little babies have badness and they will kick you and they will hit other people and they will do things. So it's not like they're innocent in that way. But as far as like being responsible to the Lord for their decision or their following of Christ, they're really innocent in that way. I don't know at what age that really happens. Some say 7, some say 10, some say 12. I think it depends on the individual, right? And this particular child used to come into my house all the time. I'm very close to him. It was very sad. He's very bright. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about where is he? He's with the Lord, right? Why do I say that? I say that without any doubt whatsoever in my heart. Why? Because of that innocence. Now, did he fully understand what it means to follow Christ and be a disciple of Christ? And, was he saved in that way? Like, um, whosoever believes, well, he believed in God, he believed in Jesus. He didn't really understand it all. I think most of us don't. I'm not even sure that I understand it all. I know I don't. But what he understood, he was like it says in the book of Romans, chapter 1, he was responsible for what he did understand. But at the end of the day, I don't think he was old enough to be responsible for that decision. So I think that every child that perishes, that is not reached of age, whatever that is in different cultures, that or different persons, that they are with the Lord. In other words, they are saved. They have salvation. They have pure salvation. Nothing more needs to be said, right? But when someone stands up at a church and says, "Well, we need to pray that God will give them grace when they judge them," so you're telling the family there that they may go to hell. We don't know yet. That God, we hope that God gives them grace when He judges them. What a horrible thing! What a. I'm sorry. That's offensive to me. It's a very hurtful thing. If you said that to me at this point in my life about one of my children, if I had a 7-year-old child or a 5-year-old child, I would probably stand up right there and tell you, no, that is not correct. He is in the presence of the Lord right now. He is with Christ. He already has an assurance of salvation. Now, some people argue that. What does that mean, assurance of salvation? Does that mean we can't lose our salvation? We can never walk away? I used to be one that believes you could once saved, always saved. Obviously, Calvinists believe that because they don't believe we choose him. He chose us, and therefore we're always saved, no matter what. I don't fall into the line of that anymore. Because there's too many verses that tell me what happens if a person is tasted and then they walk away. There's too many verses, and then they're taken and they're thrown into the fire. And people try to get around that. I will just say this: I don't believe you can lose your salvation. I don't believe that even the devil could take it away from you. You can make a decision, though, I believe, to walk away. Would that I would never. But that doesn't mean every moment you can't know that you have salvation, because I have salvation. Would I ever make that decision? I think not. How do I know? I don't know. But I feel assured. I know that I will be with the Lord if I die today. That's all that anybody could say on each given day. And I know that all the children of a certain age will be with the Lord if they die today. And I'll just close with this. It kind of reminds me of a different church, a different teaching, a different doctrine than that one that says, well, we'll pray that he'll be judged mercifully by God. He's already, God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him, he's already been judged because he does believe in him to the degree that he could. And secondly, I believe he's innocent. So, but there's another teaching out there that I find maybe even worse than that. It's even worse than that because it's the prosperity doctrine, the name it and claim it, the people that say that we're always meant to be healthy, we're always meant to be wealthy and healthy, and nothing bad should ever happen to you unless you don't have faith. And I'll just close with this story. This is the story of a true pastor. I can't remember his name, in Oregon. I got saved in Oregon, and I used to drive around for hours commuting, doing a pest control route in Oregon. And I had a lot of time to listen to radio preachers. And there's a lot of radio preachers on. There's like 2 or 3 stations up there. And I listened to all kinds of stuff, all kinds of different doctrines, different teachers. And one guy, he came out of that faith, name it and claim it group. And I am a faither and I am a charismatic, but I don't believe that way. Because here's what he was telling. Here's what he used to tell people. If your child would die like that, they would say it's because you didn't have enough faith. You didn't have enough faith for them to be healed, so therefore they weren't healed because Jesus said, I can't do anything because the people don't have enough faith like that. So he says that he would teach that and he would believe that and he would be like, yes, just claim it and you can have all these things if you just believe it. Just believe it. You don't believe it. That's why it's not happening. It's got nothing to do with God. To you, it's your fault. And he says that somebody lost their child, like 6 years old or something, one time. And he went to visit them, and he said that to them. Well, if you have more faith, but don't blame yourself. And he said, even as the words came out of his mouth, he felt vexation in his spirit, and he felt crushed, and he felt crippled by it, and he felt like that was a horrible thing to say. And he prayed about it, and he searched the scriptures, and he asked the Lord to show him the truth, and the Lord showed him the truth that that's not true. People die all the time that have a lot of faith. They die of diseases. They die of all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stories about people who died that were walking in stronger faith than I have, at least judging by what they've done with their life. So that's another terrible thing to tell a parent. Well, the reason they died was because you don't have enough faith. That's disgusting and horrible. God's will. We don't understand God's will. We have to accept it. We don't have to like it. And like I told him yesterday, it's okay to cry. There's a time to weep. And even be mad at God. I would be mad at God. I was mad at God when I lost my marriage and my family one time, and I was shaking my fist at God saying, well, how could you do this to me? I'm just serving you. I'm doing this, that, and the other. I'm in the ministry over here at this Christian school, and I'm touching kids' lives, and then you take my wife and child away from me, Lord. They left. I mean, they didn't die, but they left me, and I would, how could you do this to me? And I was like, what are you doing? And immediately, he picked me up and said, will you leave me? Like Jesus, I think it was to Peter, or it was Peter. He said, will you leave me too? It was Peter. Peter said, well, where else can I go, Lord? Huh? So no matter what happens, God, don't try to hide. First of all, it's okay to be upset. You don't have to always put on a smiley face and say, well, they're doing fine. Because a little boy, he's doing fine. His name was Emmanuel James, EJ. EJ's doing fine. He's with the Lord right now. He always wanted to be an astronaut. He's an astronaut now, man. He's flying high. He knows what heaven is. He knows what all that. But for us, it's okay. There's a time to weep. How long is that time? I don't know. Might be a year. Might be 2 years. Off and on, especially for the parents, the closest to him. For us, it's going to be a while. But then he turns the mourning into what is it? He turns my sadness into joy. He turns my mourning into joy and gladness. So that's what we're hanging on to, guys. And we know that he's with the Lord. And we're not listening to anybody else say, well, pray for him that he'll be judged and he'll be found, adequate to be with the Lord. No, there's no adequate. First of all, it's an act of faith. Second of all, he's with the Lord. God bless you guys. Ta-ta for now.